We are living in unprecedented times. Not only have we entered the age of Aquarius, but we've entered the age of AI. Humanity is about to undergo the most dramatic transformation ever, and I believe that makes it the perfect time for us to address the global mental health crisis. I believe it is through raising human consciousness that we gift people with the tools they need for emotional and mental mastery. Hi, I'm spiritual teacher and speaker, Shaman Isis, and I'm on a one-woman mission to raise human consciousness by teaching spiritual practices and sharing incredible people's heroes' journeys. Join me on Glow Up with Shaman Isis for inspiration for your hero's journey. If you're ready for transformation, check out Glow Up with Shaman Isis, the collection of books and courses.
Hey, you guys, and welcome to Glow Up with Shaman Isis. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Cynthia Elliott, also known as Shaman Isis, and I'm coming back from a little bit of a break, and I'm super excited about today's episode. We are going to be talking about consciousness and spiritual journeys, and I'm just absolutely delighted to introduce you guys to Sifu Boggie. You're going to have to pronounce that for me. Your last name.
That's close enough.
It's close enough.
I mean, I'm not actually green from your nose, but it's close. It's close. It's close enough. In Chinese, they say "Boggie," and it's a little bit more aggressive, and it just means the balance of between the chaos and the calmness. So, but anyway, I'll shush.
Sifu Boggie. I love it. I'm so excited to have you on the show. You have such an interesting background and you do so much fascinating work. Take a second just to introduce yourself and tell our audience what you do before we get into your journey and consciousness.
Take a moment. It'll be about an hour to explain everything. Anyway, my name is Paul Brighton, aka Sifu Boggie or Boggie. And Sifu means guide you, somebody points you along the way. It's not master, it's more about somebody who's on that journey with you. And Boggie means the balancer between the chaos and the calmness. So it's like all that confusion, all these 10,000 different modalities that exist in the world. My job is to help you find the right ones for you. And I started off doing this. Well, I started off at 11 years old. I started off like before then. I sort of awoke around about 5 or 6. I remember past life stuff, and I was seeing stuff that other people weren't seeing. But my mum was a little bit of a hypochondriac, so I learnt very quickly not to necessarily say that you're seeing big glowing things around or you're talking to stuff. So I kept that sort of thing to myself, and because of that, I was always a little bit different, a little bit out there. But I always wanted to help everybody and wanted to make people smile, and that was always felt like my mission. And that I used to get beaten up a lot and bullied at school, and around about 11 years old, my family, my dad decided I should do some sort of self-defense to sort of protect myself. And me being me, I managed to find not the normal martial art. And this one of the big focuses was meditation. And I very much ducked to water, loved meditation, went into that, and very, very quickly went up the belts. And in martial arts, they have adjudicators like belt testers. And I was fortunate to find one who always was looking for students, and he actually did the Daoist arts as well as the martial arts. The Tao is the way, the path of balance, and it's part martial, part healing, part spiritual. And around about 12 years old, I started on this journey doing the Daoist arts, which funny enough, is very much like the Jedi and Star Wars. In actual fact, George Lucas based the Jedi and Star Wars on the Daoist arts, because the light side of the Force is actually the Yang, and the dark side of the Force is the Yin, and the Jedi are sort of like the Daoists that flow through all these different emotions or all these different things. So I went on this journey, and along the way, I've been a baker, pastry chef, close protection officer or bodyguard, a PCSO, police community support officer for the London Metropolitan Police. I've also done massage. I now do more the massage, teaching Tai Chi and Qigong, which are styles of energy exercise. And I also make a thing called Organite, which is crystal resin art, which helps reduce, or allegedly, I have to use the little apostrophes, allegedly helps reduce radiation from routers and also your phone. That's the short version.
I love it. I love it. It's so funny. I don't think I've met a spiritual person who's like a practicing, it works in the field that hasn't had a million jobs or had a million different lifetimes in this one lifetime. And and honestly, I think the ones, hold on. Sorry. I know, right? Thank you. And of course, a lot of the spiritual people that I know have, past life memories and have dealt with a lot of challenges in this. I honestly think a lot of trauma, particularly childhood trauma, seems to be part of the recipe for building spiritual people, because I've rarely met one. I've had my own, issues with bullying and being I was a strange kid. I thought I was likable, but I had memories of past lives from the youngest age, and was found meditating as a toddler. My mother was like, "What are you doing?" Like, I don't know. I remember doing this before. Anyway, I would love to hear, and I know our audience would love to hear. So, how did you get in? I know you studied with a couple of, was it Chinese brothers at some point? Like, tell me, how did you go from being like a teenager to falling into the mystical arts?
So, it started, like I said, it actually started at 11 years old, like started in learning this martial art and doing this, what it's called katina, or it's now called kiksa, and it's like only like 26 moves, but the biggest thing they use, this is where it gets a little bit confusing, they use ki, which is still energy, but it's sort of a different type of energy, and their big focus was on meditation. And what happened was that the first one I met was a Malay, but he's in China. The head of the families tend to take the surname, so his name is Shun, which is the surname of his family. But and so that was what we called him. He was Shun, and his brother was Po. He and both of them were actually like they did their own personal, like, sort of Daoist system of martial arts and healing arts and spiritual arts over 20 generations. And in the East, he did a lot of close protection work. He did a load of close protection work and security work, and worked with embassies, but also worked in the Fortune 500 and 100 index businesses, so the millionaires and billionaires. And his brother was very much a healer, but also a feng shui, or some people say feng shui practitioner. So that's the people who, like, sort of can see the energy in the property or house, and they can manipulate it to improve your business or your life, your fortune, and whatnot. And that was very much their roles. And to be really honest, if I'm really, really frank, I don't always say this in the podcast, but what Shun and Po said to me was, well, Shun said to me, "I see you, and I have been your Sifu many times, and you have been my Sifu many times, and it's my turn to be your Sifu again." Now, for a lot of people, they go, "What? What the frick are you talking about?" But for me, as soon as he said it, yep, made perfect sense. Yep, I could really feel that and resonate with that. And almost started to remember those past lives. So it was like, and they very much taught in a way, and I teach in a way, that I'm not teaching you anything. I'm reminding you what you already know. And
Mm-hmm.
and so it's that essence of, like, for me, it was just another continuation of the journey. But I've always been very interested in science and spirituality, because especially right now, the science of right now, so quantum physics, epigenetics, are literally proving the ancient knowledge. So the
I,
ancient knowledge of the chakras, the auras, the meridians, all that stuff is being proven right now through quantum physics and epigenetics. And
you know,
so it's
no,
go
no,
for
no,
it.
no. I love that you brought that up because I read at one point, or I wrote about it actually when I was saying in my first book. I wrote about the fact that I think it was in 1974, some quantum physicists sat down with the Buddha to show him that they had proven that everything was connected, and he was like so they're like ta-da, and he's like, yeah, we've known that for thousands of years. And they're like, we just wanted to
Yeah.
show you it was true. And he's like, yeah, we've known that for thousands of years. But I get it. I like it when science actually, because the field in quantum physics is the same as spirit is in spirituality. It's the same thing. There's so much alignment between
Uh,
quantum physics and spirituality. It's an interesting time to be alive.
oh, very, very much so. And that's the point. And that same, like, circumstance happened 15 years ago. There was physicists that created a machine that could see the energy channels of the body, these tiny little energy channels of the body. And they did a big reveal and whatnot. And there's these Chinese doctors there, and they held up a map of the meridians on, like a scroll. And you mean these? You mean these? And they go, oh yeah. And it's like, well, we've proven they exist. I said, yeah, we already knew they exist, and that's the point. It is, but the biggest thing with that is it's all like, the joke, and you tell somebody the joke, and then you see them laugh, and they go, oh, and
Yeah.
it's you're helping them get the joke. And it's like the fact that all this information, and there was things I've studied over the years, that then I look at quantum physics, and there's a physicist called Nassim Haramein, and one of the things that he has shown, that the evidence of, like, all the details of the sun, that he's actually looked at the information and evidence, and he's actually saying there's actually evidence, strong evidence, to show there is a black hole in the center of the sun, and every star has a black hole. Now, the Dragon Dog Shaman was one of the things I've studied. They and ancient knowledge have been talking about stargates in the sun since the dawn of time. They even draw, nice little circle and the little sunny lines coming off, and the big black splodge in the middle, and the ship coming out of it. That's on stone tablets, which people are trying to say, oh no, they're not real. So a dentist made them, and it's like, what, all 10,000 of them. So it's this interesting thing that, there's all this ancient knowledge, and it's coming to a point of saturation where it's very hard for the disbelievers or the
Yeah.
haters to poo it anymore. It's getting
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much. And
yeah, yeah. That's what I like, because we need that. We need as many, this as well as anybody in the spiritual community. We need as many people on the planet to be in higher consciousness as possible. And it's very difficult to get in higher consciousness when you're frictioning against the truths. And I've been saying for a couple of years now that uh artificial intelligence would prove that psychic abilities exist, and that would help us help people understand how powerful they are. And a lot of people are like, okay. And of course, now we've got artificial intelligence which can read your thoughts and create images based on what you're thinking without actually hearing you. And it's like, okay, if we can build a machine that is psychic, it's not that far of a leap to imagine that, oh, guess what, we're actually psychic. And I'm glad for that, because that's been a huge I think that's been a huge one of those huge bumps that was created by conventional religions. Now, I'm a New Age Christian mystic, so I have some beliefs that fall into the traditions and some that are many that fall into the New Age. and I think for a lot of people, understanding that a lot of the things that they were taught aren't true and what could be true within that is actually an important part of their journey. So I'm glad to see the truth finally coming out.
If you're ready for transformation, check out Glow Up with Shaman Isis, the collection of books and courses.
100%. Just not well for me. There's two things right there. I mean, I think I'll go. One of the ones I've always gone by is, you know, if you learn anything like with through science and the placebo effect, and also the blind case studies, that the reason the reason we have blind case studies, and now it's what they call fourth blind case studies, where the like say you got somebody trying an experimental drug, and some have the drug and some don't. You've got volunteers. Those volunteers don't know whether they are or not taking the real thing. That's the first level. The second level, the actual person running the experiment, he doesn't know who's got what. The person running him, he doesn't know. They don't know. He or she doesn't know what they got. And it's only the original person that actually knows what's going where. And it's like, well, why is that? It's because they have found that the observer affects the experiment. So if people know what they're taking, or whether they're taking or not taking something, they can literally affect things. And placebo, what the biggest thing with placebos that the medical profession are keeping quiet is that by law, all medication, even operations, even chemo, 10% of it has to be placebo, meaning it's not real. To the point where every country in the world has at least one placebo chemotherapy machine. So it makes the noise, but it's not actually no plutonium in it. Nothing's coming through it. But the people having the treatments in those machines still lose their hair, still have an effect. The cancer cells still die because they believe they're in the real thing. And we get this whole, oh, it's a placebo. Oh, you've got to believe in it to be true. But people are missing the freaking point that we are that powerful that we can cure ourselves. We are that powerful that we can either make ourselves better or kill ourselves off. That because you have nocebo, where whatever, like people are taking something that's guaranteed to make them better, and they still get ill. They still actually die because they were so convinced it's not going to work, and so convinced, and that we are the creators of our own reality. So that's that bit. And there's also the fact that I have done a thing called remote viewing, which is sort of like psychic viewing, but it's done in a very clinical way that you can't guess what you're looking at. Where with psychic viewing, you can say, I want to go to Mars, and you can go off and leave your body and go to Mars. But skeptics could say, oh, you're making it up. With remote viewing, it will have on a bit of paper, you'll have lots of different bits of paper, and one will say, go to Mars and say what is at Mars. And then it has a serial number, and then all you're given is the number. And you're given that number, and you focus on that number. And so you don't know what's inside the envelope. And you said earlier about the whole thing, the physicists decide, what's called the quantum field, that everything is connected to every atom, is connected to every other atom, and every consciousness is connected to every other consciousness through the quantum field. That means all is one. So if all is one, you don't have to go anywhere to experience something. So you don't have to go from point A to point Z. You can actually just become it and be it. And through remote viewing, I've actually, and others similar to me, we know Buddha was real. We know Christ was real. We know that these people were real, but and through certain things, back in the 90s, I had to study religious case studies because I did martial arts and close protection, and in close protection, it helps to understand the nationality you're in, a lot of people are affected by their religion. So they do things in a certain way. So understanding their religion will help you do your job. What I didn't realize is that it was also teaching me something far greater, which was when you go back to the roots of all the religions, they're all saying the same thing. And in actual fact, there was actually a point in time where, especially Christianity, the Muslim faith, Hinduism, and Judaism were so similar that they had a secret meeting round about the 1600s, and they actually discussed about dropping certain things in their religions to make more of a difference between them. So originally in Christianity, we actually had reincarnation. You actually had you had not heaven and hell, you had purgatory, and which was like the place you went to you judged yourself on your life, and you valued, you saw the things you did, and then at the end you had the opportunity to either come back to earth and try again, or go to the higher place, and that was in the original Christianity. And so there's all these things, it's all these interesting things that when you actually look, all of them talk about everything is one, everything's connected. You have free choice, you have free will, but your opportunity or your goal is to go for the higher purpose, raise your vibration, be live in gratitude, live in love, and be grateful for everything you have. So gratitude, love, and forgiveness, forgiving yourself and others for stuff, because we're human, we make mistakes, we muck up, and all of the religions have versions of that, but what's happened is that the human in us has separated that, or through ego, it's been sort of clouded and blocked, and then that's why you have the differences, and or people say, oh, this is right and that's wrong. But at least for me, Daoistically, when you look at the bigger picture, it's all just experience. It's all about, we go through all these trials and tribulations to go, yeah, I've learned from that, or I've learned this from that, or I don't want to do that again. And it's the whole idea. It's just to grow. It's growth. For me, the meaning of life is experience and growth. And you go on again. I mean, again, there's evidence showing reincarnation. There's over 80,000 case studies of reincarnation in hypnosis, and actual children saying, I remember being here, and they've gone and done private eyes and tested. Now, normally, if you have 30,000 case studies, something is peer reviewed, and it's science will say, well, there's enough evidence to show that it's true. They don't want to admit that reincarnation is true, because it changes things. It would change a lot of stuff if we were to go, but actually there's evidence to show you do live again, you are connected, and you go, because atheism is all about, oh no, there is no afterlife, there is no this, it's only the here and now, baby. And it's like, yeah, it's just very interesting.
I remember before I came here, and as long as I've been alive, I've talked about this in some podcasts or interviews. As long as I've been alive, going all the way back, as long as I can remember, even being in crib, I would think about the conversation I had before I came here. And I wouldn't have told anybody that until I had my spiritual awakening, because I learned really young that information was power, and that people would use any of those experiences that I had, like psychic experiences, they would use them against me. Especially in the 1970s and in the South. What are you kidding? I'd been crucified, sent to the loony bin. And anyway, and now I don't give a crap what anybody fucking thinks. I just do not care. It's the truth. And some of the things that I knew as a child, like I knew I was like an old person in a child's body. I had the eyes and the thoughts that were very unlike a lot of the other children that I knew. Now, granted, I did grow up very difficult and traumatizing, but this goes back to being in a crib. This is before I got to the orphanage. And I actually feel very fortunate to have remembered that, because it became a part of when I did finally decide it was time to heal and wake up. It became a part of me accepting, my own history, but as well as what human beings are capable of. So, in your practices, as our last question, in your practices, is everything that you do, because I know you do quite a few practices, you've been studying for many years and teaching for many years. Is this about helping your students or your clients achieve higher consciousness, happiness? Like, what's really for you the goal of all the work that you're doing?
Yes. um, yes. I mean, the biggest thing ultimately, and it's sort of like well, it's not so secret now. I'm about to tell you. But it's sort of my secret goal is to raise people's vibration, raise their awareness, get them to lean back, and that's a sort of Daoist concept. Is when you lean back, you see the bigger picture. And so when you disconnect from the monkey mind, the forebrain, where you have 60 to 90,000 thoughts, which keep you in the present moment and keep you running around like in a hamster wheel. When you actually start to see the big picture and you look at your past life and you go, well, hold up, there was that real crappy stuff, but that's led to this, and I would say, like, for you and anybody that's been through lots of horrific trauma, you're still here. You're freaking awesome. You're so much stronger than you freaking realize, because you're still freaking here. Other people would have given up a long time ago, and that's the sort of thing I do, is like sort of teach people how, yes, I have certain preferences or certain techniques that work for me, but my goal is actually to give you the tools to figure out for yourself and give you the tools to grow and expand. And if you want to do it this way, through the Shundao way, that's cool. But if it just helps you along your path, and there's plenty of people over the years, last 40 years, that have started off on doing what I've done and then gone off in their other ways. But for me, I don't care whether you choose my path or not. It's about you doing the path that works for you and doing the path that helps you grow and expand. So, like I said, short answer, yes.
Love that. It's so important, you guys. Raising your own consciousness is the most important thing that you can do. Doing the shadow work, taking care of your mind, body, and soul. Look, we're all human. We all have our moments, but if you just keep moving forward, you help raise the frequency and vibration of the entire planet. And ultimately, that's really like, the goal here is, it's wonderful to help your community, but if you help yourself, that's really that's the assignment.
100%, especially when a lot of people were taught that's selfish. Looking
Mhm.
after you is selfish. And
Yeah.
I know that, especially in the female community, it's like, oh, no, I have to look after my family first. And no, if you don't look after you first, then what's your family going to do? If you burn out, if you collapse, then what they're going to do? So it's like, you need to look after you. You need to grow you. And there's a Taoist concept of, we hear it in the West a little bit, like the cup, overfill your cup,
Yeah.
and you help people from the overflow. You don't help people from an empty your cup. You help people from the overflow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And boy, do
Absolutely.
I overflow.
Well, I can tell you've got great energy. Sifu, if people wanted to learn more about your work and check you out, where's the best place for them to go?
Right, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, under Sifu Boggie, but also my actual website is www.use. Sorry, Shun Dao, and we'll have this in the links down below. But shundao.uscreen.io. So, and that is my sort of like my mystery school, where I teach a number of different things: Qigong, Neigong, which is sort of like Qigong yoga, Gong, which is Qigong meditation. There's a little bit of face reading in there as well. There's lots of different things, because I've done quite a bit of stuff. So there's lots to learn.
Yeah, you got a fascinating journey and you've got so many wonderful lessons to share. You guys go check them out. I'll put links in the copy in the podcast. And Sifu, it was so wonderful to speak to you and get to know you. Hopefully we will bump back into each other in some other capacity. You know, it's funny when you meet people, suddenly they crop up. Have you ever noticed that? You meet somebody in, like, say, college
Yeah,
or in your town and you've never seen them or met them before, and all of a sudden you start seeing them everywhere you go.
yeah, yeah. Well,
And
hey, actually, like it's Cynthia. Where have you been? You've been freaking waiting ages.
I know, right?
So you're here now. It's all good.
Ah,
I found you now.
ah,
So
right, right. Well, you guys go check him out. And if you're not familiar with my work, I'm Cynthia Leslie Elliott, also known as Shaman Isis. You can go to shamanisis.com and check out my books and the Soul Tech magazine, and all the work that I do. I've got some wonderful events coming up. I definitely want to mention really quick that the Soul Tech Foundation, which you can check out at soultechfoundation.org, has launched an initiative to upskill 10,000 Americans in AI literacy skills. If you are interested in learning AI literacy and getting certified, or if your organization would like to share a 9-step UNESCO based course, which is, you know, the top level, the top quality in the world, then go to soultechfoundation.org and you'll see AI literacy course at the top. Go there and sign up, or sign your organization up, and let's get you helping other people level up in the age of AI. Anyway, you guys have a blessed week. I'm sending you love and wishing you a beautiful day. And thank you again, Sifu.
you're welcome.
Bye.
If you're ready for transformation, check out Glow Up with Shaman Isis, the collection of books and courses.